Okay, let's just jump right in. Imagine hearing a song, any song, on the radio, whatever, and you just know.
You know exactly what notes are being played.
Yeah, and not just the notes, but the chords underneath, the whole structure.
Right, that skill, that ability to basically decode sound in real time. That's what musicians call ear training
Hmm.
or oral skills.
And it's the one thing that connects the music you hear in your head to your actual instrument or your voice.
It really is. And our mission today is to show you why this is just as important as, say, being able to play super fast.
It's about building this powerful mental map of music.
Exactly. It's a lifelong thing, for sure.
Hmm.
Even professionals are always honing it. But it's what makes you a truly versatile and confident musician.
So we're going to break down how it works, pitch, harmony, and rhythm, and show you how musicians actually master them. So let's start with the absolute smallest building block, the interval. An interval is really just the specific distance between any two notes.
That's it. And that idea of distance is the whole key. It's not about what the note is, it's about how far apart it is from another one.
It's all relative.
All relative. And musicians, we learn to name these distances very precisely. We don't just say, that's a big jump.
You'd say it's a major third or a perfect fifth.
Exactly. And those distances are measured in half steps and whole steps. It creates a kind of universal language for all music.
And here's where it gets cool. You can practice this by linking these sounds, these intervals, to songs you already know.
Yes, this is the best trick. You're basically using your memory to anchor an abstract idea.
Right. So, for example, that classic wedding march song, Here Comes the Bride.
Do you,
That opening jump, that's a perfect fourth. You hear that, you know what a perfect fourth sounds like.
or Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, the first two notes?
Twinkle, twinkle.
That's a perfect fifth. Once you connect the sound to a song you've known your whole life, it clicks. It just sticks in your brain.
And the big milestone is when you can instantly hear the difference in quality. Like the difference between a major interval and a minor one.
Yes, that's what lets you play a melody back right after you hear it for the first time. It's the absolute foundation. So if intervals are the individual bricks,
Then scales are the blueprint for the whole house.
that's a great way to put it, yeah. Scales are these organized sets of notes that create the framework for, well, almost all music.
They set the whole mood. We learn that major scales sound bright and happy.
And minor scales sound more serious or sad.
But it's more complicated than just happy and sad.
Oh, way more. That's where you get into things like modes. They're like different flavors of scales. A major scale is one flavor, but the Dorian mode is slightly different, a little more bluesy.
And that's all from changing just one note in the scale.
Just one note. But it totally changes the color and the feel of the music. Training your ear to catch that one different note is a huge step.
So with any scale or mode, there's one note that's the most important, the home bass.
The tonic.
Right.
It's the note that everything else feels like it's pulling towards.
And hearing that tonic helps you stay in tune when you're playing or singing.
It gives you your bearings. And that brings us to solfege. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.
It's like a mental map for the scale. Each note gets its own name, its own syllable.
And the really powerful way to use it is with something called a movable do system.
Explain that because it's a bit of a game changer.
Okay, so with movable do is always the tonic, the first note of whatever major scale you're in.
So if you're singing a song in the key of C, C is do. But if the song moves to the key of G,
Then G becomes do. It's revolutionary because it trains your ear to hear the function of each note, how it relates back to that home bass.
it's not about the specific note name, it's about the relationship.
Exactly. It's why relative pitch is so much more useful for most musicians than perfect pitch. You can move a song to any key, and your mental map, that do-re-mi map, stays exactly the same. So from single notes and scales, we get to harmony, which is just what happens when you play multiple notes at the same time.
Usually 3 or more notes, and that's a chord.
Right. And the simplest one is a triad. That's 3 notes. A root, a third, and a fifth.
And ear training helps you hear the difference between the chord types just by their texture, their mood.
Yeah. A major chord sounds stable, complete. A minor chord, a little more somber.
And then you have something like a diminished chord, which just sounds tense.
Super tense, like it needs to go somewhere. It needs to resolve.
A really common way to practice this is for guitarists or pianists to hear a chord and then try to sing back each note in it.
From the bottom up,
Yeah.
They'll listen and then sing the root, then the third, then the fifth.
It forces you to mentally break that block of sound into its individual parts.
If you can do that, you really understand the harmony. You own it.
No, what about rhythm? Because it's not just about what notes you play.
Oh, absolutely not. It's about when you play them. Rhythmic ear training is just as important.
It's about recognizing beat patterns, time signatures.
Knowing if you're in a steady 4/4 like most pop songs or a 3/4 waltz feel.
And the goal is to develop a really strong internal clock. A lot of people use a metronome for that.
Constantly.
Yeah.
But the real skill comes in when you can recognize complex patterns, like syncopation.
That's where the emphasis is on the offbeats, right? It gives music that funky, driving feel.
Exactly. And if you're in a band, you have to feel that together or the whole thing falls apart. You have to be perfectly locked in.
Yeah.
So as you get more advanced, we should probably clarify the two main types of pitch recognition.
Okay, first, there's perfect pitch.
Which is super rare. It's the ability to hear any note, like a car horn, and just know that's a B flat. No reference needed.
Just instantly.
Instantly. But then there's relative pitch, which is what almost every great musician has, and it's something you can learn.
And that's the ability to identify a note by comparing it to another note you just heard.
Right. If I play a C for you and say this is C, then I play another note, you can figure out what it is based on its distance from that C.
And that's actually more useful because music is all about relationships between notes.
That's the key. And the ultimate test that combines all these skills, intervals, rhythm, everything, is an exercise called melody dictation.
Which sounds intense.
It is.
So, someone plays a short melody and you have to write it down on paper. The notes, the rhythm, all of it.
Just from listening. It forces you to combine everything you've trained your ear to do.
And doing that over and over helps you develop what's called inner hearing.
Yes. You start to actually see the notes on the musical staff in your mind as you're listening to them. You're bridging that gap between the sound and the symbol.
And the final payoff for all of this training is sight singing.
The ultimate party trick for musicians.
Where you can look at a piece of sheet music you've never seen before.
And just sing it. Perfectly. Out loud. Without hearing it first.
Because you're hearing it silently in your head.
That's audiation. You're hearing it in your mind just as clearly as if someone were playing it on a piano. It's an incredible skill.
Now, for anyone listening who's thinking this sounds like a ton of work, it is, but technology has made it so much more accessible.
Oh, completely. There's so many apps for your phone now that can drill you on this stuff.
They'll play an interval, you identify it, and you get instant feedback.
You don't need a teacher sitting right there with you at a piano anymore. You can practice for 10 minutes on the bus.
And a lot of them are set up like games, which makes the repetition, a lot more fun.
It does. And you can customize the difficulty. If you're really bad at hearing, say, minor sixths, you could just have the app drill you on that one interval over and over until it finally clicks.
So for people who write music, how does this help?
It's a superpower. A composer with a great ear can hear complex harmonies, full orchestrations in their head.
And they can write it down directly without having to mess around on a piano trying to find the notes.
It makes the process of getting an idea out of your head and onto the page so much faster, so much more direct.
And what about for performers, like someone playing in a band?
It's musical freedom. You're better at improvising, for one. And you can react in an instant if someone makes a mistake on stage.
You hear the wrong chord. You know where to go to fix it.
Instantly. And you can learn songs just by listening to them. You hear something on the radio, and by the second listen, you can play it. No more searching for sheet music online.
I think the biggest tip is just consistency, right?
That is the one non-negotiable rule. A little bit every single day is so much better than cramming for 2 hours once a week.
10 minutes every morning.
10 minutes. Your brain will build those connections, but it needs that consistent daily effort. And you have to be patient with yourself.
So what this all comes down to is that developing these skills transforms listening from a passive thing to an active one. You're building an internal map of how music works.
Exactly. And with persistence, anyone can get there. You can achieve that freedom that comes from being able to truly hear and understand the language of music.
Good luck with your studies.